We did it, you all. We brought him on the podcast on popular demand. In this special episode, my dearest darling hubby, my best friend, my confidant, my soulmate, my pillar of support, my biggest rock, he is on this episode sharing his side of the story. For the longest time, you've all heard me talk about how special our relationship is, how in love we are with each other, etc., etc., etc. And in this episode, you will get to hear from his mouth. Maybe he will acknowledge whatever I say, or maybe he's just going to continue to deny what I share, starting with how long we have been together. Okay? Yeah, you got to listen to the episode to come to your own conclusion. In this episode, we are not holding back. We are sharing everything. This is as raw and as real as it gets. This is completely unscripted, and OMG, this guy seriously blows me away. Because, first of all, he's not even on social media. Yes, of course, he too consumes as much podcast as I do, but being a consumer of the podcast versus being on a podcast are two completely different stories. So he not only agreed to come on the podcast, but he also just goes with the flow. He has no questions beforehand. That's how I like to roll. So we go on all different tangents, sharing all about us, and maybe some of you might think we are sharing a little too much, and for some it might seem like we're sharing too little. Either way, this is us, unfiltered, unscripted, and just sharing our real authentic selves and bringing you along for the ride in hopes that this is going to inspire you all, because over the last 13 to 14 years we have learned so much about being in a loving relationship and also continuing to nurture and grow in a relationship as we grow individually as well as grow together. On that note, fair warning, we had no idea that the mic was picking up a lot of the background noise, even like the simplest of movements, and my voice, while it's already amplified, the mic somehow has amplified my voice, and my husband's voice, on the other hand, comes across as like too meek because he was sitting away from the mic, which we didn't realize until it was too late. But I'm just so excited for all the little ways in which he shows up for me and our family and for himself too. And as you listen to the episode, you'll also realize that I can't help but keep blushing even to this day, every single time as we look back on all of those years when we first met each other, when we first started talking to each other, when we first started dating. And even to this day, I continue to blush. And even to this day, I keep continuing to fall for the same old cheesy lines and also several new ones. And yeah, falling in love with each other more and more and more. And we have no two qualms about sharing, our story, our experiences, our insights, etc. with the world, unless it's too personal and we don't want to share. Whatever we feel is authentic and real and is going to be helpful for others to hear, that's what we bring to the table. And again, this is just part one of this series, because I'm guessing that there's going to be two more parts at least in this series, because of course we have, been together for 14 years and there's just so much to share. And you will also see how we are fumbling around to get our rhythm right in terms of recording a podcast. Now, if this episode was something that we were having a conversation in real life, it would flow even more beautifully. But here, this is as imperfect as it can get, and I would love to very much keep it as imperfect as it is, because that's what makes me want to listen to somebody when it is unscripted and unfiltered, rather than them putting something together which makes like the perfect piece. So this is round one of us getting on the podcast, and I'm sure, I promise, there's going to be a lot more episodes that will come your way, which will also likely give you a peek into the progress we are making as we get better at putting together these podcast episodes. So you will get to see the growth in real time when it comes to our skills, and hopefully when it comes to life as well. Welcome to the Inner Golden Hour podcast, where dreams take flight, mind, body, and soul get a serious holistic upgrade, and personal evolution transforms into a shared spiritual adventure. Consider this your dedicated sanctuary for exploration, self-discovery, unfiltered truths, diverse perspectives, and some much-needed heart-to-heart real talk. Hi, I'm your host Kusum. I'm a mindset and manifestation life and business coach. Think of me as that best friend you never knew you needed. The one unafraid to call out your BS, deliver a dose of tough love, and hit you with some truth bombs. This podcast is more than just a series of episodes. It's a transformative experience guiding you to dig into your truths, ditch those old limiting beliefs, and fully embrace the real authentic you. It's an invitation to align your mind, body, heart, and soul, to dream big, to explore what truly lights you up, and to manifest a reality that surpasses your wildest imagination. Envision this space as the magical golden hour when everything radiates with a breathtaking glow, revealing the depths of your inner world. Now, come along and immerse yourself in a perpetual flow of inspiration, insights, and massive transformation across all areas of your life. Let's explore the extraordinary, one enlightening episode at a time. But before we jump into this episode, slide into my DMs or send me an email with the word quantum if you are ready and willing to claim this year to be your quantum leap year as well. And if you listen to episode number 13 on this Inner Golden Hour podcast, you know what I'm referencing. So it doesn't matter if this is January or May or November. Let's just say the next 12 months, if you're willing to claim this to be your quantum leap here, I am ready to help you with that. I am ready to let you in on that secret. So send me the word quantum and I got you covered. Okay, so you're finally doing this. I have someone very special on the podcast today, and the special guest is
your husband, your one and only dearest, Vinay.
Really? Is that the best that you can come up with?
Yeah, for what I was paid, I think that's what I've come up with right now. Which is zero.
Well, you could have negotiated for more. Okay, so first things first. You will have to take an oath before we get started. And the oath goes something like this, that you'll only say great things about your wife and nothing but great things about your wife on this episode.
Haven't I done that for the rest of my life so far anyway? So...
You have. Where I have never heard it, and I've never seen that in action either.
No, but this is in front of an audience,
so you
I'll
don't
easily
have to
commit to that oath.
So, do we have that agreement? Are we clear?
100%.
Okay, all jokes aside, this is so new for you. This is something that I'm used to, like putting myself out there, putting myself on social media or any other platforms publicly. It's something that's a part of what I've been doing for the last several years. And this is absolutely brand new to you. You've never even been on social media, as in you barely have an account and you don't use social media. So how are you feeling about being on a podcast? Because this is the first time you're ever doing anything like this.
Actually, I'm feeling quite normal, even though this is the first time. As you know, I think being my wife and always trying to ruffle the status quo, you've subjected me to enough surprises in terms of these kinds of experiences, I think, over our lives, that I'm somehow feeling quite normal.
Okay, and you're welcome, I guess. We've been trying to get you on my podcast for the last 2 months now. And oh my God, can you believe that living in the same house, it's taken us 2 months to actually set this date? And that too, we've had to do this now finally when our son is still at home. So hopefully he will not barge in or keep making loud noises as we are recording today. So yeah, how have you prepared for the interview today?
Oh, I'm just coming out of a 30-minute de-stressing meditation. So you can imagine why I'm so calm.
So you're all zen and calm and whatnot. Okay, so I'm going to get the best of you right now.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Usually you're on the other side of the table where you're the one interviewing people like endlessly on an ongoing basis. And today you're going to be interviewed by me. So welcome to that side of the world. And we just recently celebrated our 14 years anniversary.
Wasn't it 13?
But it's also 14.
I thought it was 13.
Did you forget?
Don't get me in trouble right in the very first question.
Okay, that's a trick question. And you also know the answer. Why is it 14 years?
Well, it's 14 years since we met.
Yeah,
Yeah, but 13 years
yes.
since our
So that's
actual
what counts.
anniversary.
Yeah. So you're just going to discount the 1 year of you putting up with me? So we just celebrated our 14 years anniversary. How would you summarize our life these last 14 years?
Oh boy, that's a loaded question.
Were you expecting anything less?
No, not really. With my wife always ready to put me in a spot and ask the hard questions. So
Again,
this is
you're
not a
welcome.
surprise. Well, how do we start? I mean, there's so much to recap there.
How about we start with when you first thought, with our very first interaction, you thought this was a gone case. And here we are, 14 years later, sitting together. Yeah, recording this podcast episode. So, do you want to take us back to that first interaction where you thought I was a gone case? Or this was a gone case, rather?
Yeah, we can walk back in time and relive those precious moments. Well, when I first met you, you were studying
Wait,
in
this was even before we met. This was even before we had the conversation. You don't remember that?
when I saw the photo.
No, let me jog your memory.
Yeah.
When I first reached out to you, and this is a bit of a background information for those listening. We had both had our profiles up on one of the matrimonial sites, and I had reached out to him and we started communicating through email. I had been back in India at that time during vacation. I was studying here in Boston doing my master's and had gone back during vacation, and that's when I came across your profile. I sent you an email and we started conversing. And one of the very first things that I asked you in the first or second
Was
email to
my
you was
my horoscope,
your, yeah, not your horoscope,
birth
your,
time.
yeah, time and date and place of birth. And I think that's when you said, oh, I thought this was a gone case.
Yeah, totally. Because I never believed in that, and I was not exposed to that very actively in my life, and more importantly, since I was on the path to finding my soulmate through the matrimonial slash dating sites, I did not want other factors to dissuade me from finding my partner. So, I had not thought about that condition, nor did I want to find out that information. So when you asked me for that information, I was instantly like, okay, this is not going to work out, right? But I still complied, though.
How?
Imagine if I had not, what would have been the case,
Yeah,
right?
it would have been your loss. And like I say, you would have still been a bachelor.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what made you get that information, because you didn't have that information handy? I think you reached out to your parents to get that information and then sent that over to me. What even made you take that step when you already had decided that, oh, this was going to be a gone case?
It was maybe in your profile, you sounded like somebody who likes to try new things. So there was, and I was already talking to some other girl, and somehow the connection and spark was not there. Maybe it was just the timing of it all. And I decided, I don't have to lose much by sharing that information.
Okay, so for the benefit of the listeners, this is a bit of a background. So both Vinay and I, we've had failed relationships before we came into each other's lives. This is likely TMI. If you are one of our relatives or people that know us and listening to this, listen to this episode with a pinch of salt, because we might share information that you don't already know. We might share information that likely is going to be something related to or remotely related to you. Either way, some of this information maybe you're hearing for the first time. Again, we try to be an open book, and there is nothing that we feel like, oh, we need to not share this with the world for the most part, right? Unless it's purely personal. Otherwise, when it comes to our opinions or how we've been doing life and so much of that, we feel like, I mean, what have you got to hide? Anyway, on that note, because I'm sharing this disclaimer because so many of our relatives, I think my relatives especially, they don't know the fact that I had created this profile on a matrimonial site. So I was in grad school, and I knew that by the end of me completing my master's, my parents were going to bring up the topic of marriage. And I, knowing myself all too well, I was like, okay, that's not going to happen. I don't want to just get married to somebody that my parents are going to find for me. I'm going to find somebody for myself. Again, even there, I did things my own way. I don't know how I even managed to convince my parents that I was going to create a profile on a matrimonial site and I was going to look for somebody that I wanted to marry on my own. So that's a bit of a background. So that's why I even had that profile on a matrimony site. And for you, that's the route that you had taken. And you were talking to girls through the matrimony site at that time. So tell me, how long were you on the matrimony site for?
Probably like 3 to 4 months.
Is that all? I thought
Yeah.
the girl you were talking to before me, you were talking to her for a while.
No, think maybe, I mean, not more than 6 months from what I can recall.
Okay, cool. So you were on the matrimony site for 6 months, and I had just started. So you were like the second person that I was reaching out to on that platform. And also, I'm somebody who's like, I don't have qualms about reaching out to somebody. I'm not sitting there and waiting or expecting that, hey, I need the boy or the man to reach out to me. If I feel like this is something that I want to do, I pursue that all on my own. I don't buy into the stereotype of, hey, a girl shouldn't be doing this. Hey, a woman shouldn't be doing this or whatever. So that's a bit of a background there. So I reached out to you. I asked you for your date and time of birth. You got that for me. And yeah, before I left it, so I was gonna travel back to Boston, I think, that week sometime. So before I left, I wanted to go check what our astrology was gonna be like the match between the two of us was gonna be like. And for me, because I was exposed to this, I was at a place in my life where I neither truly strongly like believed in that or strongly didn't believe in that. That was a phase in my life where I was like, yeah, sure, I want to do this before I proceed. If anyway, this is not somebody that I found just by chance and this was not like a pure love marriage, I might as well just comply to what my parents would be okay with. So I was like, okay, I told my dad, let's go get the horoscopes checked out. And I still remember to this day what that person who was reading our horoscopes, like who was matching our horoscopes, said to me. He's like, oh, this boy is golden or something. And if he says yes, you should just close your eyes and get married to this person. In my head, I was like so mad at that person for being so patriarchal and saying that, oh, if the boy says yes, you should just close your eyes and get married to that person. What about me and my choices? Anyway, not like that information alone was gonna make me make a decision, but that was just good information to have before we even started talking. So you told me that, hey, come back to the US and then we can start talking. Fast forward to a few weeks later, you called me and there was like multiple phone tags that was happening. Either I was not available on the phone or you were not available on the phone, and we finally got a hold of each other on Feb 14th. What are the chances? And that was our first conversation. And how long did we speak for that day? Do you remember?
7 hours?
Yes, so 7 hours. I think you called me around 8 p.m. or 7 or 8 p.m. in the night, and then we kept talking all the way into like the wee hours of the morning or something like that until our phones died, and we were even plugging our phones into the outlet and speaking. And then we decided that because we had such a connection between the two of us, the very first time we spoke, we decided that we were going to meet the very following week. Do you want to share the rest of the story?
Sure. I think I said, hey, why don't I come over to meet you in Boston? And what happened? I think you had planned an itinerary and you said,
I had not planned an itinerary.
no, you had planned, yeah, actually, you had planned only the first one, right? Which was,
Which was
we ended
what?
up meeting in the Boston Commons, which is the, I guess the Central Park of Boston, on a cold but sunny morning.
It was Feb 20th, so
Yeah,
yeah.
on a cold but sunny morning, right? And we hung out there in the park, walked around a little bit, and then
No, 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 no. Did you forget the most important part of like when we met?
the picnic basket, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but I was going to get there, but I
Okay,
I
go
don't
on.
know if I reacted to that the very first time I
You
met
didn't
you.
react to me. You told
Huh.
me about it after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to bring that up.
Okay.
The first time I'm meeting her, and she's already ready with a picnic basket, as if it's like as if we've been dating for a while. She's made some home cooked food, and because I came somewhere closer to the afternoon, I think we said, hey, let's go, walk around the Boston Commons and then find a place where we can sit down and eat what she had made. And, I was thinking to myself, I was never, I never met somebody like her, right? Like, on one side, I felt,
Again, you're welcome.
on one
Keep
side,
going.
I felt, wow, go getter, right? Like she knows how to make an impression. But on the other side, I was, it also scared me a little because I felt she was going too fast. I felt she, maybe the connection we had on the phone was something she was so sure about that she already feels like this is going in the right direction. And I always thought I was very thoughtful and wanted to take some time to make this decision, given the prior relationships that had not worked out. Back to you.
Back to me. So my thought, what was my thought? I honestly, I had not put much thought and effort into it. I was like, I had just come back from India, right? So I had gotten some goodies from India. So I was just trying to get some of that, as well as I made carrot halwa or Indian sweet dessert. So I got all of that. And I also got like a can of Coke or something at that point of time. I used to drink once in a while, like soda. And I still remember your reaction. So first of all, you didn't make me known of your first reaction to me bringing this whatever picnic lunch over to Boston Commons. For me, it was just, oh, I'm going to meet him. I didn't make much of it. I just brought it without thinking too much about it. And you said, no, I don't drink soda or something like that. You said, I don't drink Coke. I was like, okay, all right. So I think that was probably one of the first times, not the first times, one of the last times I had soda in my life, because that's, I think, slowly I started getting to that space of, oh, what am I putting in my body, etc. Anyway, not going to go off on a tangent. So we spent the entire day together in Boston. We went around, explored. You came over to my place too, and you met like some of my roommates. I think I told them that, hey, this is somebody that you were a family friend or somebody that I was meeting. I didn't say that, hey, I was gonna meet somebody to see if this is the person that I was gonna marry and spend the rest of my life with. You took the morning bus. So from New York City to Boston, it's about 3.5 4 hours in bus. So you were meant to go back. You had booked your bus ticket, or you gotten your bus ticket to leave at 8 p.m. And you said that you were. And no. You continue. What happens after?
Yeah, so I think we had the lunch. Like you said, we went back to your place, we met some of your friends. Then I think in the evening we went out to dinner at a restaurant, and the plan was that I would leave right after that, restaurant. And this was, I think it was called Mantra, right?
Do you
And it
remember?
was some restaurant that you said you had been wanting to go to, but you
No,
had
no,
not
no, no,
gone.
no, no, no. That's all the story. Oh my god, I cannot
Yeah.
believe how many details are missing. Not surprised. Expected, very much expected. So I'm even surprised that you remember the name of the restaurant, given you don't want to retain information that's not important. Anyway, so we went to a museum to watch a show or something, I think, in the evening. I
That was, I thought was, oh yeah,
In the
that
evening,
was,
and I
yeah.
remember being non-stop, like we throughout the entire day we were not at a loss for words. We were just conversing like we were, we had known each other for a while, and it didn't feel like it was the first time we were meeting, and it didn't feel like either of us were making an effort or trying to make an impression. It was very natural. It just flowed, conversation flowed. And I don't think I had to, like, I don't think I had it in my mind that, oh, I have to be a certain way or behave a certain way. I was just being myself. I was just talking nonstop, just like this. And when we were thinking about which restaurant to go to, you were looking up and you brought up Mantra. And in my head, again, you say that all of this is crazy, right? But for me, this is how I've always been. I knew there's something more than, like looking for the science, not science. Science was in my head. I was like, hey, I want us to go to Mantra. I was thinking in my head. I didn't tell you that. And you looked that up. And then you told me, how about this restaurant, Mantra? And I told you, you won't believe, but this is exactly where I wanted to go. Like in all of Boston, that's the restaurant. And you didn't tell me anything then, even when I said that. But you told me later on that you thought that was crazy too, that I actually said that, oh, this is the restaurant that I thought I was thinking that we'll go to, and you chose that restaurant. Now, after all of these years, when you look back, that's the synchronicity, right?
Clearly, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we had dinner, and then you were supposed to leave on the 8 p.m. bus or something, and then what happened?
That's what happened, right?
No. Oh my gosh, not again. So because we were having such a great time,
I
you
postponed the bus to the
yeah
next bus,
you
right?
postponed the bus to the
But
last
where
bus
did we go?
available for
Where
you to go.
did I go? Come back to your place?
No,
Or
we were just hanging out somewhere like I don't know, walking around Boston. There's no dearth of things to do in Boston, so that's what we did. I don't exactly remember what we did, but I know we just spent time because we were having such a great time. So yeah, throughout the day I was just falling for you, falling for you, falling for you, falling for you. Yeah, and the rest is history.
I guess, as I say, so the horoscope did come true.
Yeah, but that was not it. That was just the first meeting. And then yeah, by then I knew kind of like this is something that I was like almost sure of. It was like during the phone conversations we had such a great time.
And
Yeah,
by
so we
almost, you
continued.
mean 120%, right?
120. Yeah, I was looking for 1,000%. So wait, where was I going with that? 120%. No, wait, you made me lose my chain of thought right now.
You wanted to come back to what happened after?
No. Wait. I'm almost there. Okay. No. From 14th, Feb 14th to Feb 20th, this was exactly a week. We were talking on the phone like multiple times over a period of that week. And every single time, like we were talking for like over an hour. So we already had that thing going for us where we were not at a loss of topic or words to converse with each other. And the fact that we both speak the same language, also there was some comfort level that we had with each other being able to speak in that language, even though we don't really do that anymore. We speak more in English than in our mother tongue, but that added to the comfort level that we shared with each other, being able to speak to each other in our own language.
Yeah, no, that was. I had not experienced that with anybody else that I'd met before, either through, either personally through my prior relationship or through the matrimonial side that, anybody else had met. I didn't realize the value of having somebody talk to you in your own language and how comfortable it makes you feel, and also the sense of basically comfort.
Yeah,
So that
so
was one of my realizations
yeah,
of
so
it
by
all
the
the
time
way.
we met like that week, like so much we'd already learned so much about each other. So for me it was like, okay, meeting was just one of the things to see that do we share the same level of comfort and whatnot that we share on the phone when we also meet each other. So that was pretty evident when you postponed your bus to say that I was going to take the later bus. So we kept in communication the weeks to follow. Then what happened? I think we decided that we were going to take a break for a week, as in like not just see each other, see how it feels, because everything is hunky dory during the first few meetings. So we consciously made a choice that we were not going to meet the following week, but we were going to wait another week, and I was going to come meet you in New York City the following week.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so then the following week I came again. I've continued to show my true side of me where I'm like, I am going to be this crazy person who will decide to do whatever she wants to do, whenever she wants to do, and you better be ready for that. So when I came to see you in a week, first of all, my parents were like very concerned. Why are you going over there? Like being a girl, right? I mean, I come from a typical traditional Indian family, so my parents are like very orthodox, and for them to even be okay with the fact that I was meeting somebody here in the US all on my own was a big deal. And here I'm also saying that I am going this time to meet him because it's not fair for him to keep coming to meet me all the time. So, and I took the last bus that leaves at 12 a.m., 11
12
p.m.
a.m.,
in the
something
night,
like, yeah.
from Boston. And I was going to come there because if I'm coming there anyway, I might as well spend the most amount of time with you that weekend, was my thought process. I reached there at 4 a.m. in the morning, New York City. And New York, being the city that never sleeps, worked out perfectly for us the next 1 year, where I would commute back and forth like almost every weekend or every other weekend between Boston and New York City. So that first time, yeah, you tell me, what were you thinking when I said, oh, my bus is going to reach New York City at 4 o'clock and you lived in Hoboken at that time?
I know. I was like, wow, the craziness begins. Like, who takes a bus at 12:30 a.m. from Boston to come to New York at that early?
Your
Not to
wife.
mention, I was obligated to go pick her up in the bus station. It's not like I could have said, "Hey, why don't you then hop this path train and this, the subway train and come on to Hoboken, when I'll conveniently wake up and meet you." Right? So that didn't fly. Or at least I was not aligned with even thinking, saying something like that since she was coming over for the first time. So there I was setting my alarm, waking up at 3 or 3:30, and I thought the only way to be sane at that time was to add a shot of Bailey's to my coffee, early morning coffee, and that became a joke in and of itself. That I went to meet her drunk. Right, I was not really drunk. It was literally a single shot of Bailey's, but she could sense it.
Yeah, so that's a running joke. Like, you need to get drunk to come and see me or meet me or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, while you were gentlemanly that way, when we went back to your place, you said, okay, you're on your own. I'm going to sleep right now. That's exactly what you did. You didn't be like, oh, I have to put up a show now. I have to stay awake. None of that. You were so comfortable with me by then. You're like, okay, you do what you want to do. I'm going to sleep right now. And I'll get up in the morning when we are going to
Yeah.
go out.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. I think that morning, once I woke up, I think I took you to Panera Bread.
Yeah.
I think that's where I introduced you to what became later on your favorite, the egg souffle.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have a craving for that, but I didn't have that so regularly. It is a good thing to introduce to you. And what else did we do that day? Was that the day we went for the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went to watch a movie and hung around. Like, we went out, and that was also St. Patrick's weekend. We both didn't realize it was so crowded in New York City that day. Like, path trains were crowded, and yeah, we went out, we hung out, we watched a movie. That's when I realized you're somebody who's super focused when it comes to watching a movie. I can still keep yapping when I'm watching a movie. We both fell for each other watching that movie. So the songs from that movie are still two of our favorite songs, or our songs, as we claim. And yeah, we just spent the day, and I was going to stay over at your place, spend that entire weekend. By the time that did you cook for me that weekend? No.
Mm.
Did you? Or did you cook for me the following weekend when I came back?
I don't know. Sometime I made my world famous okra curry.
Yeah, you cooked for
Yeah.
me 3 times in all of 14 years. Yay! Can't remember if you cooked for me that weekend, but by the time that I left that weekend, I knew that confirmation was like a 100% from my end that, okay, this is the person. And I even told you when I left back to go to Boston, I told you, from my end, it's a yes. You can take your time and you can make your decision. My yes doesn't have to mean that it has to be a yes for you too. And you can take your time. But in my head, I'm like, can you make that damn decision already? Right? And this was the time at which you were also speaking to another girl.
Yeah, I was hedging my bets. No, but that was, I didn't start talking to anybody after I started talking to you.
Yeah, but this was the
But
one
this
who
was
was
somebody
talking.
I was already talking to for a few, I guess, weeks or months.
Yeah, months, as I remember you tell me.
Right? And it was just at a point where I was figuring out how to end it.
Say no to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, nobody else stood a chance after I came into your life. What can I say?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think.
No, but you also said I scared you in some ways.
Yeah, I think, as I said, I think the very first meeting, I felt like you were a go getter. I think through all the other interactions that we had in those early days, I think there was one time I remember we were watching your family album.
Yeah, that
and-
weekend, yes.
Yeah, that weekend we watched your family album, and I was really drawn to the fact that you were close with your family. You kind of, you had lots of photos with, being goofy with your brother, with your parents, and all of that, and that kind of resonated with the energy that I felt when I was with you, and all those were really positive because I felt, hey, I think this is a person we can align on decisions, in our life, whatever they might be. And I felt that sense of comfort and energy and, like passion between us. The scary part, maybe it was scary good, but because I had not met somebody like you before, so that part was
I am
making
one
me
of a
scary.
kind. What can I say? Yeah.
So that part was definitely scary for me because I felt you were okay too fast is what I felt. Like you
Hey,
were,
when you know, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I was not that kind of a person. And that's what scared me a little bit. But I think eventually I ended up asking myself, am I looking for reasons to say no here? Or, what else am I looking for in a life partner? Somebody who is, energetic, full of passion, comfortable to speak with, feel like we can make decisions together, close to family, goofy. Also, you had that kind of naughty look and way to put people, like way to make me uncomfortable or put me in the spot, which somehow I found kind of adorable and cute. And once those realizations came to mind, I think that's when, what, 3 weeks later, I think I said yes.
Wait, hold on. I have the dates. I have the facts right. You don't. So, what were you saying? Yeah, the fact that I put people on a spot, you found that adorable. Is that still the case? Or has it changed after 14 years of being going through that cycle over and over?
I think if you put it in that way, the way you used to then, yes, definitely.
What?
Definitely adorable if it still happens in for those kinds of things,
Yeah.
right? But I can't say in every situation it is like that.
It's not?
It's not.
Okay. You have something else coming for you after this conversation, mister. So you're saying it's not.
Yeah,
Going
didn't you
once.
ask me to make an oath
Going once.
again?
Going twice.
Yeah.
This is the last chance you have to change your response if you choose to.
Yeah, I mean, when you sometimes I may not be that comfortable to if you put me on the spot.
But it's
So,
always worked out every single time without fail.
yeah, no doubt about that.
Anyway, so we met for the first time Feb 20th, and the following weekend I came to meet you, and then we took a break from meeting each other, and then you told me, and we continued to speak, not just on the phone, we continued to
I
do
don't think there was a
video
single
call.
day we didn't speak
Yes, exactly.
since we
We
started
would talk
talking.
every single day, and our conversations moved from phone conversations to video calls. So we would be video chatting with each other. And exactly a month after, like Feb 20th was the first time we met, and March 20th, you told me this was after our third meeting. We'd only met 3 times up until then, and after that, on the phone during the video chat, said it's a yes. And I was in Boston, so you told me over video chat. So I
Yeah,
booked my
took
that
the
was
next
early in the
bus.
morning. Yeah, I took the next bus out to New York City. Are you lucky or are you lucky? Like, you didn't have to work hard at all. And I always came with a full disclaimer about everything about me, like whether it was my past or whether it was the F ups that I've done in my life or whether anything else, my temper, everything. I came with a full disclaimer. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to pretend like I am this person while I'm not. This is who I am. And you either say yes to all of it or none of it, right? So that's how I've always been with you. And that was one of the things that was so important to me when I was looking for a partner, is somebody who I can be myself with 100%. I never want to have secrets. I never want to have to like think twice before I come have a conversation with you. And in the last 14 years, that's exactly how our relationship has been. I don't have to think twice before I come and tell you anything. And if I have a problem with you, I don't go complain and bitch about you to somebody else. You're the first person who will hear about it. And I don't sugarcoat that. I don't massage that message. You get to hear exactly how it's playing in my head.
Now tell me who got lucky again?
You. But in all fairness, that's exactly what I wanted to manifest in my life, okay? I didn't know the word manifestation back then, but you are my biggest unconscious manifestation in my life, because these were the things that were important to me, for me in my partner. No matter what anybody else said, somehow none of that made a dent in my head to say or sway me in any other direction, despite my own failed relationships before I met you. So, talk about beliefs and manifesting what exactly you want. So, yeah, you were the one who kind of made me realize that who wants a fairy tale fantasy marriage when you can have a real thing?
I see. Is that a good thing?
Of course. Are you doubting that? Yes, because fairy tales are like shown for two
I
and a half
want to make sure
hours.
you were sure that it was a good thing and not a bad thing.
Isn't that evident for you in 14 years? You are still finding your wife just as excited and hyper as she was 14 years ago when she met you. Has it changed, this level of excitement or this level of energy or any of that?
No, which is why, I feel like I'm a good decision maker.
Talk about taking all the credit for my hard work.
I made a one-way door decision here. And I was right.
Okay, so, but on a serious note though, we are such different people, but also at the end of the day, our core values are have always been in alignment, even when our core values have shifted and evolved over the last several years. It's evolved alongside each other, not like, oh, I took on different core values and you took on different core values, but our core values when we met each other were certain values that were very important to us, and we were aligned on those at that point of time, even though we are completely different people. I'm more of, like, it's very evident, I'm more in the la la land, in the esoteric, in the universal science, etc., even though I didn't have the vocabulary back then to think of these things that way. And even though I didn't know what manifestation was and look at these things from that perspective, I've always been somebody who will jump in and make quick decisions because something in me is telling me that I need to take this action. And you've always been on the other side, like more grounded, more bringing that balance into our relationship.
Yeah, definitely. I think our core values about family, companionship, love, trust, being truthful to each other, all of that have continued. We're really from the basis of having the kind of relationship that we had. Now we are a family of four, and just like other parents, we are falling down, getting up, but trying to teach those core values to our kids. And as our value systems have evolved about also investing in ourselves, I think we're still very much so aligned in that sense. Though we may be at different parts of the journey individually, but the values are still aligned.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I was just remembering that back then, I remember explicitly telling you that I am looking for somebody who knows how to handle me.
Yeah, I remember
Remember
that
that?
dialogue. I still remember that
Yeah.
very clearly.
What did you think when I made such a statement like that?
No, I was like, I've never heard anybody say anything along those lines. And
I told you I'm one of a kind.
like I've only heard about animals having to get managed. Like having saying, I as a human require somebody to handle me was the first time I had heard back then. But beyond the surprise, I didn't have any lack of confidence in being able to manage our relationship. But I obviously did not know everything I was signing up for, despite your so called disclaimers.
Would you have changed your mind if you did?
No, I wouldn't have changed my mind, but
Yeah,
I'm just saying that we didn't really go through all the situations and
of course not.
scenarios. It's
Yeah.
not really, it's not like we had that kind of a trial run. That was not what we were looking for.
Yeah.
Right? We were looking for value alignment and comfort and, love, even though it was within a very short period of time.
Yeah.
Not that we gave ourselves a time frame to make a decision.
It just
It
organically
just, yeah, it
happened.
just happened that we
And
both
your
were
parents
ready.
were really concerned.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I was
told my
first.
parents
First,
and
I
they
was
were
concerned.
fine.
First, I was concerned that hey,
You're
am I
making
making a decision too quickly? I mean, this is a lifelong decision. It's a one-way door, as I always felt marriage was. Yeah, when I told my parents, they were, which I found it a bit surprising because they wanted me to get married. And then when I said that, they're like, oh, why don't you take some more time? I think maybe it's all the experience from the past girls had spoken to or relationships I had to, whichever they had knowledge of. I think maybe it's based on that. They felt a bit surprised. They always thought I was against the concept of marrying through meeting women using the process of a matrimonial. I guess I was more mature than that because it was a conscious decision I had made when my own ways of finding a partner did not lead to a good match.
Yeah. Yeah. So they got concerned, but you said, yeah, it's fine. I'm not rushing into this decision, whatever. And I think, yeah, my brother, he wanted to speak to you because my parents didn't have any qualms about this, but my brother, being the loving brother that he is, he wanted to make sure that you were the right person for me. He kind of interviewed you. He
Yeah.
was still in India back then, and he did a video call with you, like talking to you. Just be sure that you know what you're signing up for because he knows his sister and his sister's temper, and just making sure that you were the right person for me.
I know, yeah. I don't think that was again the one and only experience I've had of having to be interviewed by somebody's brother.
That to younger brother, mind
Younger
you.
brother. Yeah. I mean, younger, older, but yeah. Yeah, we literally spoke for an hour. But it was definitely, again, it kind of reconfirmed the solid family foundation that you had. And for me, it was more like, because marriage is just beyond just us, right? It's also our families. So it made me feel more positive and stronger about how our families would engage, like even if we were not there, right? So that was, I think, all in all, while that was a bit surprising that your brother wanted to talk to me before, anything, before we kind of moved forward with anything, it was also kind of nice and showed the kind of care and family values that he also had, which made me feel all that more excited about my decision to marry you.
Yeah. Yeah, so fast forward to like a year later. So we said yes, our parents met in India because they live very close to each other, like in the same city. So that works out great for us every single time. So their connection has been very strong from the very beginning. That's been great to see how that's unfolded, regardless of what's happening with us. Yeah, so I said, oh, this is another thing that I said was, wait, let me close the loop on the handle me part. So when I had told you that I need somebody who knows how to handle me, it was for the exact same reason. I am somebody who can be up in the air and come up with like 100 different things that I want to do and da, 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 all of these things and keep going at that speed. I also wanted somebody to like that reality check of, oh, this is the time for you to keep moving forward, and this is the time, let's take a step back and let's pause for a second and let's think through this. So I needed somebody like that because I'm not like that. I needed somebody who, yes, who knew when to encourage me to keep moving forward and when to say that, hey, hold on to your horses, not time yet. So that's what I was thinking of when I said, back then when I said I need somebody who knows how to handle me, because I have a very strong personality, and if you don't match up to that personality, then it's going to be not a good match for us to like be together. I needed somebody who could not only just match my strong personality, I wanted somebody who could hold their own and not just be okay with what I was bringing to the table. So that's what I was looking for. But little did I know that when I was thinking all those years ago that I needed somebody who knew how to handle me, I was looking for who knew how to hold space for me and my evolution, which is something that came to me during my ayahuasca retreat when I went to Costa Rica. So that's a different topic, different story. We'll go there later. But yeah, that was like 14 years later, that was the realization that happened. And that's exactly how it's been. You holding that space for me to like, how many different directions have I gone in the last 14 years? Neither of us could have ever imagined that this was going to be our life path or life journey, or this is what I would be doing. Yeah, you've been there through all of it, and you've not once questioned or discouraged me from that perspective to say, what the heck are you doing? Why would you throw away what you have, like, so stable and secure and financially all of that glory? Why would you throw that away and opt for something that you have zero clue about, know nothing about? Nobody is doing this, and here I am, like, doing whatever I want to do in terms of my career. So how's that been for you?
I mean, who would have thought that you were studying what telecom when I met you in Boston? Who would have thought that you'd be a life coach and a podcaster 14 years later?
Hey,
Not
I've
in my
also done
wildest
other
dreams.
things.
Yeah, not in my wildest dreams. How was that journey? I think your question was how was that? How was your shifts? What kind of impact they've had on me? Right, and I feel if we had set points in our life, somehow some of these things kind of organically fell through. It was always at the juncture of something life
Fell
changing
through
that
or
no,
came
it was
together?
always, yeah, came together is I think what I meant. Thanks for correcting that. Came together at some critical life changing decisions we've made, being supportive to each other. Like, for example, I kept thinking long and hard about doing an MBA, and you brought a lot more clarity into my head. And once I decided to pursue it, as a result of that MBA and the job switch, we got a chance to move to Seattle, and you leveraged that, obviously life changing
I
move.
didn't leverage that. I just
No, I meant like to no, but it was a catalyst for something that was already brewing in your head. That hey, you don't want to start, you don't want to continue working for corporate. You want to do something on your own. And when we moved to Seattle, you basically said that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, since I anyway quit my current role, I'm going to just start something on my own rather than just apply for the kind of jobs that you had done before. And that was a leap of faith. But as I said, I always believed in your energy and
wait a
where your
second. You
decisions
always
come from.
believed?
I always believed in the kinds of decisions you
Or
made.
believe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking from a past tense perspective, as in then, right? Like
I
what was
know.
going through in my
I
head at
know.
that
But I
time.
can't miss an opportunity.
Yeah,
You know that.
yeah. No, I still do, which is why you've kind of taken your career in different directions, and I've been nothing but amazed, inspired, and also been supportive. But yeah, I mean, you use that catalyst as an opportunity to try something, and that was the I think that fearless spirit was one of the things that possibly I didn't tag it the right way when we first met. I didn't realize it was fearlessness,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like because I focus more on your energy and your passion,
Mm-hmm.
and possibly this is the first time I'm also thinking out loud and sharing it.
Mm-hmm.
Is I think your fearlessness became that much more evident because there was, like, first of all, I had no background on that, and you started learning things. You realized you were good at understanding these patterns and figuring out like your opportunities there, and how you've gone from there to realizing the kind of impact you want to have on people and on the world by switching to a life coach and now a business coach and trying all these things. So somehow, as I said, I think that catalyst that kicked off with my post MBA move and when we moved to Seattle, I'm really thankful that for whatever reason that we manifested it, and how that has kind of led to this strengthening our core through investment in personal growth, but at the same time the different directions you're moving and stretching yourself in. And that's always been an inspiration to me and continues to be, because you don't settle for status quo, right? And that's what makes my life more exciting, because on the on one side obviously it's family and all of those things, but I think on the other side it's also that I'm not done learning, and having a sense of direction and having that sense of purpose is something that I think you've kind of taught me. It we continue to push each other and challenge each other, especially on the spiritual and personal growth journey that you're on. You're now kind of using the same thing to how we are trying to impart it to our kids. So I feel overall I'm nothing but grateful that we are on the journey that we are on. Maybe it's even sometimes it's like I almost feel, what if we had started this sooner? If we were on this journey sooner? But again, as you have shared with me multiple times, I think you're at the right point in your life, and I think you can only process what comes to you only when it's
You're
in the
ready
right time
for.
of your life, only when you're ready for it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, and the keyword, people, there is manifested. He said it, not me. Okay, that's how much of an influence I've had on him. I am the manifestation coach, but he's the one who's using the word manifested. Yeah, I am just so thankful for who you are as a person there, because I can never take that for granted. I don't, because I see this like day in and day out, and how much of a support women or wives get from their husbands. The percentage is very, very, very low, because again, you're not on social media, I'm on social media, and the fact that, I mean, in various different Facebook groups or just in general on social media, the number of women that post anonymously about the things in their marriage and the relationship and the lack of support and not having a husband who understands them or who's there for them. They're almost like people who are married. They live in the same house for the sake of it, for their kids or whatever reasons, or the fact that, once you're married, you're stuck in that relationship for the rest of your life kind of a thing. But yeah, the lack of that support, just generally, both of them having a corporate job, and that's kind of what our path was also like, right? But the fact that I said, and this is also a running joke in our house, is that you got an MBA but I am the one who became an
Love that.
entrepreneur. Right? And you've never once questioned me about, like, the financial aspect of it is huge, right? I still don't make the kind of money that I would have made if I were in the corporate world, because I was already, like, this was 8 years ago, I was already earning six figures, and yeah, by now maybe I would be making $1 million if I was still in the corporate world, but that's not the reality for me just yet. But you never once questioned that, and you don't ever question how long and how much time and effort and energy I'm putting into this, because you see that I am putting that kind of, energy. I'm so invested in what I do, but I've gotten nothing but support and encouragement from you every step of the way. And that, I think, is what has continued to help me like keep pushing forward. I think, I don't know, I mean, hypothetically speaking, if you were not as supportive and if you were not as encouraging, it would have been that much harder for me to keep going at the rate that I've been going in the last several years. Because I started off as like, doing one thing, and then I moved into another thing. And then 2019 came around, and I said, end of 2019, when we were like doing our goals review or reflection for that year, is when I said, hey, I'm blogging and collaborating with brands. All of that is well and good, but I feel like there's more. I need to see what that more is. So next year I'm going to figure that out. And lo and behold, before we knew it, things changed, and I became a life coach when I had no idea who a life coach is, what they do, and why you need a life coach. And now you get coaching from me all the time.
More than I need.
Well, that's subjective. We can talk about that another time. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you are such a rock for me, and such like that solid support I can never take for granted. And I didn't know that that's what I was looking for when I was looking for a partner 14 years ago.
I know. Yeah, neither of us knew that.
Yeah. Okay, so where were we? Where were we?
I just took a coffee break. And we talked about our journey, and you asked me how that
I know it's
impacted me.
It's so easy to lose my chain of thought. Before that, I needed to close the loop on one of the things that I brought up. Yes, when we got married. Wait a second. We jumped way ahead. When we said yes, and when our parents like met each other, everything worked out. We could have gotten married anytime we wanted to in 2010. And I was still in grad school. I was going to graduate in December, and I was very clear in letting you know that I wanted to I wanted to graduate just as my parents' daughter rather than anyone's wife.
Yeah, I remember that.
What did that make you feel?
I mean, it made me feel nothing but proud for the way, the way you think. I guess proud is not the right word. Proud for marrying you, who had really clear values and reasons why you wanted to do some things in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So if anything, that made me love you more.
Make the wait all the more worth it.
Yeah, make the wait all the more worth it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think we really had a blast that year where we were meeting each other every single weekend. I made the trip to New York City more than you making the trip to Boston. Well, I was fine with that because anyway, I liked your friends more. We loved hanging out. We did so
We're a
many
more
things.
mature bunch of friends who were all working. You had kids in college
Kids
as
in
your roommates.
college.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also for me, like, to be very honest, I've never been that. I mean, when that part where my focus when I was in grad school was never like make friends, hang out, have fun. It was always about, hey, I have to make ends meet. I have to get through graduation and be on my way. And that was always my focus. So I never really invested time or energy in making friends or nurturing friendships or that kind of thing. That was never important to me, right? So we had a blast that year, which was great. We got married. So our marriage dates that were available, or according to Horoscope, based on our horoscopes, the auspicious wedding dates that came back were Feb 14th and Feb 20th. So we couldn't find the marriage hall for the day Feb 14th. And the other option was Feb 20th. We are like, yeah, that was meant to be. That was the first time. Whether it was the first time we spoke or the first time we met, it was something like special for me, like in terms of signs. And I was like, okay, Feb 20th it is. So exactly a year after we met for the first time, we got married. Our marriage was a whole other story, a complete disaster. Just tears and tears and tears. But I still remember one of the things, like I was like, there was so much going on. First of all, as a girl, you're so emotional. You have so much tied to this one day because that's what you've been fed all your life, that this is the day of your life that you've been waiting for since you were, as long as you can remember. And that was the biggest disaster of my life. But what made a huge difference for me is the fact that despite all of this, you didn't let any of that get in the way of how we felt about each other. Regardless of what was happening during our wedding, Like multiple things went wrong, multiple things were falling apart. I was crying like on and off for various reasons. Other things were happening. Other people were, so many people were involved and whatnot. And at the end of the day, when we were like looking at each other, it was just such a reassurance just to have you next to me. And I don't think anything got to you in terms of like, hey, what are we doing, or why are we doing this, or are we, why should we even be getting married, or whatever. Like, I see a smile on your face. What are you gonna say?
No, I think the fact that nothing got to me is not correct.
Okay.
But I think it's just how I manage it, and I think his
Did you put on a poker face?
not about putting on a poker face. I've grown with some of that skill coming very, it becomes second nature to me. No matter what, I'm going through, to look past, like being hopeful, focusing on the positive, and not get inundated with the negative.
So wait, I'm curious. When I am saying I didn't see that any of that got to you, what I mean to say is not that you were
Not that it
unfazed by
impacted.
any of that. Obviously, you were impacted by, I didn't see that make any difference to you was in terms of how you felt about me, or how you felt about us getting married, right? That's what
Yeah.
I'm talking
Okay.
about. Yeah, not the fact that nothing got to you, like you were emotionally stunted, none of that, right? Obviously, it was like we were going through a whole range of emotions, both of us, and we were still trying to hold it together and be present. Not present, I was not present mentally at all during any of the rituals during our wedding. I was just physically there, but in my mind was like, can this day be over any faster? Was what was going on in my head. So I didn't enjoy any aspect of our wedding because it started off from the moment I even walked into the marriage hall. But thankfully, like, we put so much importance is given to that one specific day, or that, the symbol of getting married, or the day of our wedding, right? In our culture, especially, where so much importance is given. But for us, even though our wedding was not anything like we had wanted it to be, it didn't have an impact on our marriage itself. And for that, I'm so, so, so thankful. And I think about that every single year on our anniversary. It never ceases to amaze me that, thank the universe, that nothing that happened on our wedding day impacted how we are with each other, or how our marriages evolved over the years.
Yeah.
So for me, the biggest reassurance was when all of that was over, and when you and I got to be together for the first time, just the two of us. I almost forgot about everything else that was happening. And that's how loved and safe and protected I felt with you in your presence. And that made all the difference for me. Do you have anything to say instead of just
No,
simply nodding?
I was just reminiscing the moments and going back in time
Or you're just taking in all the
about what.
compliments?
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you have anything to add to all of that?
I mean, it was definitely a trying time. Not what we had imagined the marriage was going to be like.
You mean the wedding?
The wedding was going to be
Difference.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't have any doubts on how that would impact us, because it was not based on. Yes, wedding day is an important day, but like I felt our relationship was based on some solid foundation, which I did not feel would get impacted. Maybe I had some concern at that time when we were going through that, but like I said, I think one of the things that I liked about how you and I gelled well was that I always felt there was some kind of a knowing, inner knowing, that things would be okay. Like we would be able to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't, that belief didn't get affected during that time, even though the situations may have caused me to question some of that at some point.
Yeah. So the reason I spent as much time as I did talking about that right now is because, again, this is what I see, right? Especially when you're growing up and when you're a girl, you have so much, like, you have big, big dreams about how you want your wedding day to be and how much of an importance wedding is given, like, overall, right? In any culture. But I want to stress that what matters is not just one day. One day is not going to make or break a relationship. Yes, it was a trying time for us, but what you brought up right now, like the foundation for our relationship is so strong that that was almost like insignificant. Not that it didn't have an impact on either of us, it did have a huge impact, but it didn't necessarily shake the foundation that we've had in place. So yeah, we got married, and then the rest is history. Oh, and we also jinxed our own between the
Honeymoon.
between the courtship period and getting married, we also jinxed our one of the vacations that we had planned, a honeymoon, Egypt. That's still not happened, by the way. I don't know why we have not been able to go to Egypt in all of these years, despite having traveled around the world. We'll see. Maybe your daughter has something to do with it. I don't know. Because that girl, she has a lot to say about all of these things as to when we do and how much she wants to be involved in that and how much she doesn't want to be involved in that. So I have a feeling it's her. It's her doing. What do you think?
Shuzaku? Saksaku? Tata.
Yeah, that's something what she says. Shuzaku, soksaku, tata hogo. Put on shoes, put on socks, let's go tata. Means let's go out. So going back to, yeah, I wanted to close the loop on the horoscope thing, right? That astrologer was spot on, even though his delivery sucked, and even though how he said that sucked, because in the last 14 years, I know people keep saying this, marriage is hard, having a good loving relationship is hard. I don't feel that way personally. What's your take on that?
Well, it's so I mean, it's not that marriage is hard. I think marriage requires work, and if people are not used to things like compromise earlier on
Don't
in the
use the word
life,
compromise. I am going, it's going to tick me off right now.
so what do you use the what is the right
No,
term that you want to use for it?
compromise. Because, okay,
It's more like
we've never really discussed that because in our relationship, we've never had to do that, right? So the reason, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. So the reason I say don't use the word compromise is, again, we've not ever had to discuss this, but this is one of the things that I have at least grown up paying attention to. And as a boy, maybe you never got to hear this, or you, again, at the end of the day, you're only paying attention to the things that you want to pay attention to. As a man, you're selectively listening or selectively paying attention. But me, on the other hand, me no detail misses my attention. One of the things growing up I continued to hear was, oh, when you get married, you have to make a lot of compromises. When you get married, you have to make a lot of compromises, and marriage is going to be hard. And somehow for me, that never felt right and it didn't sit well with me because, again, having been married for the last 13 years and having a successful marriage at that, I don't think we've ever had to compromise on anything. What we've had to do is look at where we are in our life and say that, is this a priority for me, and does this make sense for us to pursue now, or should we shift priorities? So that is different from when you say I have to compromise, which means I'm almost sacrificing something. And that's why I say, when people say compromise, it's really compromising, it really ticks me off, because you're not compromising. Yes, as we go through motions of life and as we go through different stages in our lives, our priorities change and we evolve with the priorities that are changing. But when I say I have to compromise on something, which means I'm sacrificing on something, which means I'm letting go of something that's important to me and I'm not pursuing that anymore because now I've had to compromise. And one of the things, again, as a girl, that I heard was, as a girl, you have to be compromising when you grow up, when you get married. Your husband will have a lot of things to say and you have to compromise. And that's never sat well with me. And I don't think I've ever had to compromise in a relationship.
yeah, fair enough. I mean, I was just looking at the dictionary meaning of the word compromise.
What does it say?
See, one of them says settle a dispute by mutual concession,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whereas the second meaning says accept standards that are lower than is desirable.
See, that's what I've always
And
thought of compromise to be.
yeah, and I think I think the first one is a little more neutral, but the second one, it definitely is not what I mean
Yeah.
by compromise. So maybe it's given that there is that ambiguity there,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I should correct my vocabulary and
Yes.
change that.
No more using the word
Yeah.
compromise, okay? It's only priorities.
Yeah, or I'll settle for the whatever word that is, which is what, reprioritize.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
look at your priorities, and our
I think what
priorities
I
are
meant is
constantly
that you
shifting.
cannot. What I meant is marriage cannot be looked upon as 1 + 1 = 2, right?
Now we are
Like it's
talking.
not.
I actually think this is a great place for us to pause and pick up in part 2 of the episode where he can jump back in and answer that question, because now he has to go for a meeting and I have to jump on other things as well. But in the meantime, as he comes back and shares his side of the story and all of his wisdom and golden nuggets, I would love to hear from you all. What about this episode has spoken to you so far? From everything that you've heard, what resonates with you the most? What would you like to hear more of? Because, like I said, this is going to be at least a three-part series, I'm guessing. So, in the next few episodes, we are going to make sure we'll capture the details of whatever it is that you want to hear more of. Or maybe you can also send us feedback on, hey, this part was a little too much, maybe not, perhaps. That kind of feedback is welcome too, and I'm going to take everything into consideration as I come back to you with the next episode, or rather, next part in this series. Until then, I look forward to hearing from you all about your shares and your takeaways. Thank you for joining me on another episode of this podcast. I appreciate your time, your presence, your commitment, and your willingness to embark on this journey of self discovery, transformation, and manifestation. If anything you heard today resonated with you, sparked new insights, or brought about aha moments, I'd love to hear all about them. So please share your thoughts by tagging me on social media at Passion, Purpose, Passport, and follow me there for more inspiring content and connection. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and show your support by liking, reviewing, and sharing this podcast. The more good we share with the world, the more the universe unfolds its magic for us. It's not just good karma, it's the universal law, aka Manifestation 101. By the way, you will receive my free manifestation meditation as a token of gratitude for sharing your reviews on iTunes. Take a screenshot before submitting and send it to my team at manifest@passionpurposepassport.com. On that note, align your mind, body, heart, and soul with your deepest desires for limitless possibilities. Remember, every step you take, every action you choose, ripples through the universe, shaping the reality you wish to experience. Until next time, keep basking in the brilliance of your inner golden hour and keep manifesting miracles.